There's a peculiar paradox woven into the fabric of human existence, one that Ibn Arabi understood centuries ago when he whispered these words into the void. When your soul stops chasing, everything begins to find you. It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? In a world that teaches us to run, to pursue, to grab what we want with both hands before it slips away, the idea of stopping feels like surrender, like failure, like giving up on everything we've been told matters. But what if the greatest act of courage isn't in the chase at all? What if it's in the radical, terrifying decision to stand still? We spend our lives running. From the moment we're told we need to be something, achieve something, become someone worthy of love and recognition, we start moving. Fast, faster than our hearts can keep up with. We chase careers that promise fulfillment but deliver exhaustion. We chase relationships that we think will complete us, only to discover we're still fractured. We chase validation from strangers on screens, measuring our worth in numbers that change by the second. We chase peace while clutching chaos in our fists. We chase happiness while carrying the weight of everything we think we should be. And in all that running, in all that desperate reaching, we lose something fundamental. We lose ourselves. The soul, that quiet voice beneath the noise, tries to speak. It whispers at first, gently, reminding you of who you were before the world told you who to be. But you're too busy to listen. There's another goal to reach, another standard to meet, another version of yourself to chase. So the soul grows quieter, not because it has nothing to say, but because it knows you're not ready to hear it. And you keep running, convinced that if you just move fast enough, far enough, you'll finally arrive at the place where everything makes sense, where you're enough, where the aching stops. But here's what no one tells you about the chase. It has no finish line. Every goal you reach reveals another one waiting in the distance. Every achievement unlocks a new standard. Every destination becomes a starting point. The horizon keeps moving because you keep moving, and the exhaustion that settles into your bones isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's the deep, soul-level fatigue that comes from running away from yourself while pretending you're running towards something meaningful. Ibn Arabi knew this. He understood that the human soul isn't designed for endless pursuit. It's designed for presence, for stillness, for the kind of depth that only comes when you stop trying to be everywhere except where you are. When your soul stops chasing, when it finally surrenders the illusion that fulfillment exists somewhere out there, something extraordinary happens. The things you needed all along, the peace you were searching for, the love you were trying to earn, the purpose you thought you had to find, they begin to find you. Not because the universe suddenly decided to reward your stillness, but because you finally created the space to receive what was always there. Think about the last time you felt truly at peace. Not the manufactured calm that comes from checking off a to-do list or the temporary relief of distraction, but the deep, unshakable peace that settles in your chest like coming home. Chances are, it wasn't when you were chasing something, it was when you stopped. When you sat with yourself without judgment, when you let go of the need to be anywhere other than where you were. That's not coincidence. That's your soul recognizing itself, free from the masks and the roles and the endless performance of being. But stopping is terrifying, because when you stop chasing, you have to face what you've been running from. The silence becomes loud. The questions you've been avoiding demand answers. Who am I without my achievements? What am I worth if I'm not constantly proving it? What if I stop and discover there's nothing underneath all this effort? What if I'm not enough? These fears are real, and they're the reason most people never stop running. It's easier to stay in motion, to stay distracted, to keep the soul so busy that it can't ask the hard questions. Yet the questions don't disappear just because you're moving. They travel with you, growing heavier with each step. until the weight of them slows you down despite your best efforts. And eventually, whether through burnout or breakdown or a moment of grace, you stop. Not because you want to, but because you have to. Because your body and your mind and your soul have reached their limit. And in that stopping, in that forced surrender, something shifts. You start to notice things you missed while running. The way morning light filters through your window. The rhythm of your own breathing. The small moments of beauty that don't require effort or achievement. You start to feel things you've been too busy to feel, and yes, some of it hurts. The grief you've been outrunning catches up. The disappointment you've been avoiding settles in. The loneliness you've been masking with motion reveals itself. But alongside the pain, something else emerges. Clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes when you're not moving too fast to see. You begin to understand that the things you were chasing were often just symbols. You weren't really chasing success. You were chasing the feeling of being enough. You weren't really chasing love. You were chasing the proof that you're worthy of it. You weren't really chasing happiness. You were chasing escape from the discomfort of being human. And once you see this, once you recognize the pattern, you can't unsee it. The chase loses its power because you understand it was never about the destination. It was always about running from yourself. This is where the transformation begins, not in grand gestures or dramatic changes, but in the quiet decision to stop running, to plant your feet in the soil of the present moment and say, I am here and this is enough, not because everything is perfect, but because perfection was always an illusion designed to keep you chasing. You are enough right now in this moment, with all your flaws and fears and unfinished business. You are enough in your stillness, in your uncertainty, in your very human struggle to make sense of it all. When your soul stops chasing, it starts listening. It listens to the rhythm of your true desires, the ones that exist beneath the layers of should and must and have to. It listens to the whispers of intuition that you've been ignoring in favor of logic and strategy. It listens to the voice that knows without proof or evidence what feels right and what doesn't. And in that listening, in that profound attention to your own inner landscape, you discover something remarkable. You don't need to chase anything. Everything you need is already moving toward you, waiting for you to be still enough to receive it. This isn't magical thinking. It's not about sitting back and expecting the universe to deliver your dreams on a silver platter. It's about understanding that when you're in constant motion, driven by fear and lack, and the desperate need to prove yourself, you create a kind of energetic chaos that repels the very things you're seeking. You're like a radio tuned to static, unable to receive clear signals because you're broadcasting interference. But when you stop, when you settle into the frequency of your authentic self, you become receptive. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible. Connections that were trying to reach you finally find a way in. Solutions to problems you've been forcing emerge naturally, almost effortlessly. People sense this shift in you. When you stop chasing validation, you stop needing it, and paradoxically, it comes to you more freely. When you stop desperately seeking love, you make space for real connection, the kind that isn't based on need but on genuine recognition. When you stop proving your worth, you embody it, and others respond to that quiet confidence. This isn't manipulation or strategy. It's the natural result of alignment, of being in harmony with yourself rather than in constant conflict. But here's what makes this so difficult. Stopping requires faith. Not religious faith necessarily, though it can include that, but faith in the process, faith in yourself, faith that the universe isn't a hostile place waiting to punish you for slowing down. And if you've spent your whole life believing that your worth is measured by your output, that your value is determined by your achievements, that stopping means falling behind, then this kind of faith feels impossible. It feels like stepping off a cliff into darkness, hoping something will catch you. Yet this is precisely what your soul is asking you to do, to step into the unknown with nothing but the quiet certainty that you are more than the sum of your accomplishments, that your existence has meaning beyond what you produce or achieve, that you are worthy of love and peace and joy, not because you've earned them, but because you're alive. This is the leap that changes everything, and it can't be rationalized or strategized. It can only be felt in the deepest part of yourself, in that place where the soul speaks in whispers and knowing. The journey from chasing to receiving isn't linear. There will be moments when you forget and start running again, when the old patterns resurface and you find yourself back in the familiar exhaustion of pursuit. This isn't failure. This is being human. The difference now is that you know there's another way. You've tasted the stillness, felt the relief of surrender, experienced the magic of what finds you when you stop chasing, and that knowledge becomes an anchor, something to return to when the world tries to pull you back into the race. Over time, the stillness becomes less frightening. You learn to distinguish between the productive action that flows from alignment and the frantic motion that comes from fear. You develop a relationship with your soul, checking in with it before making decisions, asking if this pursuit is coming from truth or from terror. You start to notice when you're chasing something because you genuinely want it versus when you're chasing it because you think it will make you acceptable. And in that discernment, you reclaim your power. You stop giving your energy to things that don't serve you. You stop contorting yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You stop running from yourself and start running with yourself, moving forward not from desperation but from curiosity and joy. This is what Ibn Arabi meant. When your soul stops chasing, when it releases the grip on control, on forcing, on demanding that life meet your expectations, everything begins to find you. Not everything you thought you wanted, but everything you actually need. The difference is crucial. What you thought you wanted was often just what you were conditioned to want, the images of success and happiness that were sold to you before you knew who you really were. What you actually need is aligned with your true nature, with the unique blueprint of your soul. And the universe, reality, life, whatever you want to call it, is far more generous in delivering what you need than what you think you want. People who have made this shift describe it in different ways. Some say it feels like coming home to themselves. Others say it's like taking off armor they didn't know they were wearing. Some describe it as a profound relief, the kind that brings tears not from sadness, but from the release of a burden they didn't know they could put down. And others say it's simply the first time they felt real, unfiltered, authentic in a world that had always demanded performance. Whatever words you use, the experience is unmistakable. There's a quality to your life that wasn't there before. Things flow more easily, not because problems disappear, but because you're not creating additional problems by resisting what is. Relationships deepen because you're no longer relating from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. Work becomes more meaningful because you're choosing it from desire rather than obligation. Even the hard moments, the grief and loss and disappointment that are part of every human life, feel different. They hurt, yes, but they don't destroy you because you're rooted in something that can't be taken away. You're rooted in yourself. This rootedness changes how you move through the world. You become less reactive, less desperate for things to be other than they are. You develop a kind of spiritual resilience that doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from knowing you can survive it, that it won't erase who you are. You trust yourself more, not because you've become perfect, but because you've seen yourself handle imperfection with grace. You forgive yourself more readily, recognizing that mistakes are part of growth, not evidence of unworthiness. And you extend that same grace to others, understanding that everyone is fighting battles you can't see, chasing things they think will save them, running from fears that feel insurmountable. Compassion becomes natural when you stop chasing, because you're no longer in competition with everyone else. Their success doesn't threaten yours. Their happiness doesn't diminish your own. There's enough for everyone because you understand that true abundance isn't measured in external achievements, but in internal peace. And peace, unlike money or status or recognition, isn't finite. The more you cultivate it, the more it expands, touching everything around you. But let's be honest about what stopping doesn't mean. It doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or accepting mediocrity. It doesn't mean becoming passive or apathetic or checking out of life. Stopping the chase isn't about stopping movement altogether. It's about changing the motivation behind the movement. It's about taking action from fullness rather than emptiness, from inspiration rather than desperation. When you stop chasing, you don't stop growing. You grow in a different direction, inward rather than outward, deeper rather than wider. This inward growth is what makes everything else possible. Because when you know yourself, really know yourself, you stop wasting energy on things that don't align with your truth. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop pursuing paths that look good on paper but feel wrong in your gut. You stop betraying yourself for the approval of others. And in that stopping, in that profound act of self-loyalty, You create space for what's real to enter. Real love, real purpose, real joy. The kind that doesn't need to be chased because it's woven into the fabric of your being. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes from chasing, from always being ahead of yourself, never quite present in your own life. You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone because you're not really there. You're in the next moment, the next achievement, the next version of yourself that you think will finally be acceptable. And everyone around you is relating to the mask, the performance, the person you're pretending to be, which only deepens the isolation. But when you stop, when you show up as you are, something remarkable happens. The right people find you, the ones who see you and choose you anyway, the ones who don't need you to be perfect or impressive or anything other than human. These connections are rare and precious, and they're impossible to find when you're running. The same is true for purpose. When you're chasing purpose, it always seems to be just out of reach, something you need to discover or create or earn. But purpose isn't something you find. It's something you allow to emerge when you're still enough to hear it. It's been there all along, waiting for you to stop looking everywhere else. And when it emerges, it doesn't usually look like what you expected. It's often quieter, simpler, more ordinary than the grand visions you had, but it feels right in a way that nothing else ever has. Because it's yours, authentically yours, not borrowed from someone else's story. This emergence of purpose, of authentic direction, can't be forced. You can't strategy your way into it or think your way through it. It requires something that our achievement-obsessed culture rarely values: surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to what is, to what wants to happen through you rather than what you think should happen. It means trusting that your life has its own intelligence, its own unfolding, and your job isn't to control every detail, but to participate with awareness and intention. When you surrender the chase, you surrender the illusion of control, and this is terrifying because control is how we cope with the fundamental uncertainty of existence. If I just work hard enough, plan well enough, achieve enough, then I'll be safe. But you won't be safe, not in the way you imagine. Life is inherently uncertain, and no amount of achievement or control can change that. What does change when you stop chasing is your relationship to uncertainty. Instead of fighting it, you start to dance with it. Instead of seeing it as a threat, you recognize it as possibility. The unknown becomes not a void to fear, but a space rich with potential, waiting for you to enter it with curiosity rather than control. This shift in perspective changes everything. Problems become interesting rather than catastrophic. Challenges become opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure. Setbacks become redirections rather than rejections. And you, at the center of it all, become more flexible, more resilient, more alive. Because you're no longer rigid with the effort of maintaining control. You're fluid, responsive, able to move with life rather than against it. But none of this happens overnight. The transition from chasing to receiving is a process, often a messy one. There will be grief for the time you lost, anger at the systems and beliefs that kept you running, confusion about what to do next when doing nothing feels impossible. There will be moments when you doubt everything, when the old voice in your head insists that stopping is stupid, that you're falling behind, that you'll never amount to anything if you don't get back in the race. These moments are where the real work happens, where you have to choose yourself over the conditioning, your truth over the expectations, your peace over the performance. Each time you make that choice, you get stronger. Not in the way the world measures strength through domination or achievement, but in the way that actually matters, through authenticity and integrity and the courage to be yourself in a world that profits from your self-doubt. This is the strength that can't be taken from you, because it doesn't depend on external circumstances. It's the strength of knowing who you are beneath the roles and titles and accomplishments. It's the strength of being, simply being, in a culture obsessed with doing. And here's what you discover when you access this strength. You are extraordinary, not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. You are a consciousness experiencing itself through a human body, navigating an impossibly complex existence with limited information and unlimited heart. You are billions of years of evolution, stardust and stories, carrying within you the same creative force that spins galaxies and grows forests. You are unique in all of history, in all the universe, a combination of traits and experiences and perspectives that has never existed before, and will never exist again. This isn't hyperbole. This is fact. And yet, you spent years, maybe decades, believing you needed to prove your worth, to earn your place, to chase validation from people who are just as lost as you are. When your soul stops chasing and recognizes its own inherent value, everything changes. Not externally. You don't suddenly become rich or famous or conventionally successful, though those things may come. But internally, in the landscape of your own experience, there's a revolution. You stop measuring yourself against impossible standards. You stop waiting for permission to be happy. You stop postponing your life until you're perfect enough to deserve it. You start living now, in this moment, with all your imperfections and uncertainties and very human struggles. And in that living, in that full-bodied presence, you find what you were chasing all along. Peace isn't the absence of struggle, it's the presence of acceptance. Joy isn't the absence of pain, it's the willingness to feel everything, to be alive in all of it. Love isn't something you earn or achieve, it's something you allow, first for yourself, then for others. Purpose isn't a destination you reach, it's the quality of attention you bring to each moment. And all of these things, all the treasures you were chasing in the external world, become available when you turn inward, when you stop running and start receiving. This is the great paradox Ibn Arabi understood. The things we chase move away from us because our chasing creates separation. We position ourselves as lacking, and the universe mirrors that back to us. But when we stop, when we settle into the fullness of who we are, we become magnetic. Not in a manipulative way, but in the way that authenticity always attracts. Real recognizes real. Truth calls to truth. And the people, opportunities and experiences that are meant for you find their way to you, not because you've earned them or deserve them, but because you've become available for them. Availability is the key. When you're chasing, you're unavailable. Your attention is fragmented, your energy scattered, your presence divided across 1,000 different pursuits. But when you stop, when you gather yourself back together, you become fully here, fully now, fully you, and in that full presence, you notice things you missed before, the synchronicities that guide you forward, the intuitions that protect you, the small moments of grace that make life beautiful. You become able to receive what's being offered, which is often far more generous than what you were demanding. There's a trust that develops when you live this way, a trust in the process of your own unfolding. You stop trying to force outcomes and start paying attention to what's emerging. You stop clinging to plans and start responding to what's actually happening. You stop living in the future, in the imagined moment when everything finally comes together, and start inhabiting the present, where life is actually occurring. And the present moment, for all its ordinariness, for all its imperfection, turns out to be enough. More than enough. Everything. This realization doesn't make you complacent. It makes you free. Free to pursue what genuinely calls to you rather than what you think will validate you. Free to rest when you need rest rather than pushing through exhaustion. Free to say no to things that drain you and yes to things that energize you. Free to be human, messy and flawed and still worthy of love. This freedom is what your soul has been longing for all along. The permission to stop performing and start existing. When you give yourself this permission, when you finally allow yourself to stop chasing and start being, you discover that you've been enough all along. Not potentially enough, not eventually enough. Enough right now in this moment exactly as you are. And from that place of enoughness, from that solid ground of self-acceptance, you can build a life that actually reflects who you are rather than who you think you should be. You can pursue goals that matter to you, not because they'll make you valuable, but because they genuinely interest you. You can form relationships based on mutual recognition rather than mutual need. You can contribute to the world in ways that feel authentic rather than obligatory. This is what it means when everything begins to find you. Not that life becomes easy or perfect or free from challenge, but that you become aligned with your own truth, and from that alignment, everything else flows more naturally. The struggle shifts from fighting against yourself to working with yourself. The effort becomes sustainable because it's fueled by genuine desire rather than fear. The journey becomes meaningful because you're present for it, not constantly wishing you were somewhere else. Ibn Arabi's wisdom echoes across centuries because it touches something fundamental about human nature. We are not machines designed for endless productivity. We are souls having a human experience, and the soul requires stillness to thrive. It requires space to breathe, time to reflect, permission to simply be. When we deny the soul these things, when we keep it running on the treadmill of achievement and validation, it withers. We become efficient but empty, successful but hollow, busy but lost, and no amount of external accomplishment can fill the void created by that internal abandonment. But when we honor the soul's need for stillness, when we stop chasing long enough to listen, we discover a richness that no achievement can match. We discover ourselves in all our complexity and contradiction and find that we are enough. We discover presence, the ability to be fully here for our own lives, and find that it transforms even ordinary moments into something sacred. We discover that the things we need most, peace, purpose, connection, joy, were never in the future, never waiting at some distant finish line. They were here all along, in the pause between breaths, in the space between thoughts, in the stillness we were too busy chasing to notice. So when your soul stops chasing, everything begins to find you, not as a reward for stopping, but as the natural consequence of becoming available, of creating space, of being present, of honoring your own worth, of trusting the process, of surrendering control, of embracing uncertainty, of accepting yourself, of living from your center rather than from your fear. This is the invitation Ibn Arabi extends across time, and it's as relevant now as it was centuries ago. Perhaps more so, in a world that moves faster, demands more, and leaves less room for the soul to breathe. The question is, are you ready to stop? Not forever, not in every area of your life, but right now, in this moment. Are you ready to take a breath, to settle into yourself, to let go of the chase long enough to see what's been trying to find you? Are you ready to discover that you don't have to earn your peace, that you don't have to achieve your worth, that you don't have to become someone else to deserve love? Are you ready to be here now as you are and trust that it's enough? Because it is. You are. And everything you've been chasing is already here, waiting for you to stop long enough to receive it.